Hey, Tony Gaskins here. Wanted to pop in. Got a good question the other day, and I see this a lot. And I feel like the question always to me comes off a little bitter. Um, Sounds like it's coming from a place of bitterness or frustration. And it's typically women asking me, sometimes men, but typically it's women asking me, Tony, when you say, I hear people say, leave a guy, but even yourself with your wife and other relationships, the woman stayed with the man even after finding out or feeling like he wasn't the one. And I really think that's, taken out of context. And so even with myself personally, my wife never felt like I wasn't the one. It wasn't that I had a bunch of deal breakers. I didn't have any deal breakers for her except for when we started dating, the fact that I was being, insecure. That doesn't mean a person isn't the one. It just means you have to send a message. It's not like I was, toxic in every single way and, smoking and getting drunk and doing all of this. When someone isn't the one, then they are not the one. Meaning you don't stay with someone who's not the one. They have so many deal breakers that it just doesn't make sense to stay with them. You stay with someone when you feel like and you can tell that this person is the one, but he or she needs to work through this one issue or these two issues. And what you have to realize is that no one will be perfect. No one will be perfect. And you have to understand how deeply rooted is this man in his deal breakers. So me being toxic and controlling and insecure, that is a deal breaker, but what is it coming from? And so if it's something that is so deeply rooted in my makeup and the way I see the world that I'm never going to change that and I'm incapable of changing that, then you got to keep it moving. But if it's something that you know that it is circumstantial to where I may be being this way because I just came through a toxic relationship and I'm a little jaded, then that's something different. And so when you take and you start to look at this man and you ask yourself, can I fix him? What you have to understand is that he has to fix himself, but you can influence that change. You can influence that growth. And you have to be able to look at it and say, well, how much is there to fix? And if it's something that he's acting out of character because of what he's going through, like let's say if a man is having a tough time financially, that's going to affect him. Let's say he just lost his job, he just lost a friend or a family member, somebody that he knows and loves, they just passed away. That's going to affect him. He not long ago came out of a toxic relationship. That's going to affect him. But so that right there can be a temporary situation. But you have to think about this and say, well, is this something that's deep rooted? Like if it's something that it comes from early in his life and there's a lot of pain and a lot of trauma and a lot of toxicity that's tied to this behavior or this mindset or this action, that's totally different. It's totally different when you evaluate the issue and you realize that it is something that is deep rooted. It is something that comes from his past that has shaped him over the last decade or more. And that is who he is. It's now a part of his DNA because he's gone through so much, seen so much, experienced so much. He's so lost, toxic, confused, jaded, abusive, controlling, insecure, whatever it may be. If it comes from a deep seated, deep rooted pain, then that's going to be a whole nother type of battle. And you got to think about that and realize that and recognize that you may not be the one that's equipped to help him overcome that. And then you have to ask yourself, is this man ready and willing to do the work? So if it's something that's deeply rooted in his life, he needs to be himself talking about and suggesting therapy. And if he's not, and you suggest it to him, he needs to think and feel like that's a great idea. But if you see that he is deeply hurt and he has gone through some things and it has affected the way he sees the world and the way he sees himself, and he's not trying to do any work, and when you mention this, he's like, oh, I don't need that. I don't need no help. I don't need no therapy. I ain't going to tell nobody my business. You must be crazy. You think I'm finna go tell somebody my business? Man, them people can't help you because them people got so many problems in their life. Man, I used to know a therapist. Man, that woman was so loose. That woman had all kind of problems in her life. Man, I ain't one of them people. So if that's what he's on and that's what he's singing, now you realize that no, you cannot help him change because he is set in his ways and he's unwilling to change. So listen, don't take me saying, oh, my wife had to leave me in dating, because with every story, it's something that's not being told. Everybody don't have the time to go all deep into all the nuances of their story. So you have to understand that. You know, my wife, when we got together, she was leaving she left a 1-year relationship. She was 19. So she had a soul tie, you know. And me, I was leaving a 2-year relationship. So I had a soul tie. We didn't take much time to heal because we didn't know. We weren't taught that. So what you got to understand is, just because I use myself as an example does not mean you go do what I did. I'm teaching because of the mistakes that I made. So my wife took a gamble and happened to hit. She could have just as easily lost everything. So you see what I'm saying? You can't take and gamble unless you look at this thing and you feel like in your heart that the good outweighs the bad. My wife saw something in me and she realized that the good outweighed the bad, and that even the bad, I didn't want to be that type of man, jealous and insecure, toxic or controlling. That it was something that I was being called to, being pulled to, and that I was working daily to become a better man. Now, had I been insecure and jealous and take that and couple that with I'm going to the strip club, I'm getting drunk, I'm getting high, that's totally different. But here she was working with a man who was nearby perfect in every area. Didn't drink, didn't smoke, didn't curse, know the Lord, love the Lord, but just was dealing with trust issues because of my past. You see what I'm saying? There's a difference. So don't go look at what this celebrity over here, because you saw Keisha Kaur stay with Gucci, and you saw Tiny stay with T.I., and you saw Cookie stay with Magic Johnson, and all this stuff. Don't look at somebody else's situation and make a decision on your life, because it's a reason why they did what they did, and you don't know the underlying reasons. You don't know the motives. So, and you don't know what is being hid. You don't know what you don't know. But when you look at your life, you know your situation is a mess. You know you don't have any love. You know your man tore up from the floor up, broke, busted, and disgusted. You know that. Don't look at somebody else's situation that you don't know all the details to and say, well, she stayed and look at them today. They worked out. You know, everything worked out. I just got to just tough it out. No, you may have a total different type of man than what they have. You may have a total different motive. So I'm going to tell you this. Some women toughen it out because they don't care as much about love as they do about money and business and being famous and not being embarrassed to the public. Some women stay because they done got so they're up in age. They so up in age that they stay because they feel like they can't start over. It's they too far out there. And so they like, you know what? Let me just go on ride this thing on out. I'm pushing 50. Like, what am I gonna do? Start all over and then get with another man and he with the games? And then what I'm gonna do? Lead him to? And so some women come to the place where they just tell themselves, listen, okay, it done been this long, I might as well stay. Because I done dealt with other men, I done talked to other men, I know other men, I got friends who tell me about they man, all these jokers sorry. So why I'm going to leave my sorry man to go get with another sorry man? You see what I mean? So that's just where their mindset is at. But if you know God and you know prayer and you believe that God has told you, I'm going to bless you to where you can have a happy marriage so that you can be a spokesperson for the kingdom, for kingdom marriage, then you got to stick to that. You got to stick to that and you got to stand by your guards, and you can't get frustrated. You can't get jealous of other people. You can't be desperate. You can't be worrying and crying and complaining. You got to stick to what you know in your heart you've been promised. And it will work in your favor, because somebody else's grace might not be your grace. Somebody else's favor might not be your favor. Somebody else's story might not be your story. So when somebody that came in your life and they done taught you some lessons, and that's the reason they came in your life, and that reason now has turned into a season, and you realize that this person is not meant for a lifetime, when you start comparing and getting jealous and you getting weary and you want to try to stretch a season into a lifetime, that's where you end up playing yourself. And see, you know, and you heard in your heart that you ought to leave. But you look at what I got and how it came about, and you say, well, no, I'm going to stay because, Tony Gaskin's wife stayed. And look at him today. Look, your man the man that you dealing with, that you putting up with, might not be me. Look at the calling that's on my life. You see what I'm saying? Look what I'm doing. So it worked for us because of what God had me called to, because what was in store for me. So this is a part of my story. This is a part of my testimony. But if your man in a whole nother situation doing something totally different, then that might not be your story. So don't try to force it because you can't fix him. And let me help you understand. My wife, all she did was stood her ground. My wife didn't stay with me. She didn't try to fix me. My wife left me in dating. And then people always ask me this, well, how did it happen? I'm going to tell you how it happened. It literally had to be divine, because my ego would not let me chase her. I didn't call her. When she said we need to take a break, I ain't call her. I ain't text her. I was too egotistical to do that. I was 21. I ain't know no better. She didn't call me. She didn't text me. The only reason why we got back together is because one of my homeboys wanted to connect with her roommate. And I sent her IM. Y'all remember AOL Instant Messenger? I sent her a IM. Rim Rocker 86 or something like that. My wife's name was Rim Rocker because she used to have a dream of dunking one day. She was a tomboy. And so Rim Rocker 86 or something like that. And I sent her a IM. My IM was Silent Essence 29. Cause I was silent and I thought the word essence sounded good. Didn't even know what it meant. But I felt like the essence of my being was quiet. And so I sent her a DM and said, hey, such and such want to connect with such and such. Can you let her know? And see if we could set it up. And then she said, yeah, I'll let her know. We didn't talk again. And then when the day came, I said, hey, I ain't heard from such and such. So, let such and such know I ain't heard from. Don't worry about it. And then she was like, okay, cool. Then I said, but can you and I still link up? Because deep down, I had a lot of ego, but this was a chance for me to slide in without swallowing my ego. It wasn't me saying, hey, I'm sorry. I apologize. So I still wasn't all the way right. So guess what? God had to deal with me. See, God was protecting her. And while he was protecting her, he was working on me. See, this is what I need you to understand. I don't want to do what I'm doing. You think I want to get on here every day and be giving away the game? No. Don't nobody want to be on here giving away the game and got every man turning their nose up at me, hating me, mad with me. My own homeboys, people around me who might just be around me because they need something from me and don't even like me because my message stepping all on their toes. I'm doing the cha-cha slide on their toenails. You hear me? These men don't like me. They might respect me, but they don't like me. So that's painful because it put me on an island. I'm by myself. I don't know a man that's living the life that I'm living. In the way that I love my wife, faithful to my wife, and the way I treat my wife. I don't know a man. I honestly do not know a man that treat his wife the way I treat my wife. I'm on an island. You hear me? The man might be out there, but I have not met him. And when I meet him, I sit down with these men and I talk to them. And I, as a man, can feel because game recognize game. I done played the game, so I recognize the game. So guess what? You think I want to be out here doing this? No. But this is what I'm called to. You hear what I'm telling you? Listen to me now. This is what I'm called to. So what you have to realize is my wife didn't fix me. All she did was remain true to herself. She remained true to her values. And that is what influenced me. But I had to do the work. And it was the presence of God and the fear of God, the love, reverence, respect of God that helped me change. And my wife became a beneficiary of my change because she refused to compromise. And this where so many women get it wrong. Listen to me, please. It is not of your work. It's not of your work. It's not of your work. It's not you cooking for him 3 meals a day. You sliding from a pole. You singing on the mic and choking. And it's not from all of that. It's not from you being beat on and cussed out and cheated on and dragged through the mud. That's going to change a man. No. It is you standing your ground. You hear me? And he has to man up. He got to get to know who he is. He got to surrender to the Lord. The work is done by him. And this is what women misunderstand when I be talking. Oh, well, it sounds like to me, you want the woman to do everything. You want the woman to do everything. So what is this? Oh, so now we making excuses for the man? Now we making excuses for the man? So the man ain't got to do nothing, huh? Oh, I never said that. I ain't never said the woman got to do all the work. But that's what I be hearing. And then women always tell me, Well, Tony, and this the one who she makes 75,000 and thinks she classy. Well, Tony, you need to stop addressing those commenters because some people are here to learn and we want to learn, and so you need to stop addressing those. Listen to me. The same stuff, the stuff that I be saying that I'm hearing from women, I hear that across the board. I hear that from women with college degrees, master's degree, doctor degree, 40 years, 50 years old, 60 years old, the same thing. That's why I address what I address, because it's not coming from a woman who lost her mind and living on the side of the street. This coming from a educated, healthy, whole woman who have these questions and these rebuttals and these, arguments that put words in my mouth. And see, I serve Jesus. And when you serve Jesus, Jesus don't leave nobody behind. So no woman left behind, no man left behind. That's why I address the stuff that I hear. And that's what I want you to understand. I never told a woman you got to sit there and suffer the wrong. Sit there and put up with a man. My wife ain't put up with me. My wife left. Just like ladies may ask me, well, your wife stayed. Well, your wife stayed. My wife did not stay. She was gone. I had to change and come back and get her. So don't speak on the queen like that. Don't confuse what you doing with your sorry man with what my wife did, because my wife left me. So if your man is dogging you out and running you through the mud and mistreating you and got you crying and cheating on you, verbally abuser, physically abuser, financial abuser, socially abuser, all the type of abuser, listen to me. You and my wife not the same. My wife ain't put up with nothing. You hear me? What they say, Nathan. She ain't put up with Nathan. She was gone. You hear me? On the first thing smoking. Listen to me now. What I'm telling you. Y'all done got me confused. I had to work. I had to go back to this woman and tell her, listen, I'm changing. I'm a changed man. Give me another chance. And then guess what? I had to show and to prove. Listen to what I'm telling you now. When I got her back in dating, before she said we need a break, and we need a break really meant I'm dumping you and you ain't gonna never hear from me again. But I'm saying break just in case you crazy. And I don't want to say I'm dumping you because I don't know if you crazy, because the way you been acting these last couple weeks, you might want to show up at my door, hide behind a bush with a machete. So I'm going to tell you we having a break. That's what she told me, but she treated it just like a breakup. You hear me? This was not no break. I didn't hear from her after 3 days, after 7 days, after 14 days. It was 6 months. I had to go back to my sorry last relationship to use that as a band-aid because I was too immature. I was a grown boy. I didn't know what healing was, didn't know how to heal, was never told to heal, was never showed how to heal. You hear me? That's why I have created TonyGaskinsAcademy.com. Okay? So when you want to ask me a question, well, how do I heal? How do I start over? How do I do this? TonyGaskinsAcademy.com. Okay? I'm doing the work for you now. The course is right there. You say, well, Tony, that course ain't good and I need a real person. What is this? MyMentor.life. You could talk to a real person all the days of the week. MyMentor.life. See, I went through the pain and the mess and made the mistakes to come out on this side to help you, so you wouldn't have to go through it. And God taking care of me because of this. This is what I do full time. See, so let me help you understand something. Don't look at my wife and say, well, since Miss Gaskins stayed, I'ma stay. She did not stay. She left me in dating and she left me in marriage. So the only way you should stay is if your man come back to you and he has done a 180. He talking different. He walking different. You hear me? I went to dripping olive oil. Do you hear me? I changed my life. Look at what I'm doing today. This is what I got on. This is what I got on. See, me and my wife got back together. We were together for, it felt like a snap of the finger. It could have been 2 months, 3 months. I don't know. I wasn't keeping track of it. It felt like a snap because she was amazing. But I was not amazing. And then she said we need to take a break. That was 6 months, okay, that we ain't hear from each other. And I just think it was divine that my homeboy hit me up, just talking out the side of his neck about he want to link up with my wife roommate. And then he didn't show up. So then, boom, down is, I'm over there. Me and my wife talking. Nah, we hit it right back off. You hear me? She knew that she felt I was her husband. But she took a gamble and she walked away from the man she felt was her husband. So when I came back, she was a little more hesitant. She wasn't as strong because she was like, I got to take this thing slow because I could have reacted too fast and too harsh last time. But she was able to do that because she had her ex of a year in her ear. That's what a lot of women make the mistake. So he kind of hadn't gassed her up to feel like, oh, you could come on back home. I know you done moved on, but come on back home. So being that I was acting crazy and he was talking good, she had that cushion to fall back on. This is how relationships work, okay? This ain't about pointing the finger and judging, because a whole lot of you doing a whole lot worse. All right? And so she went back. I went back. This is why soul ties. This is what soul ties do to you. And when I went back, my ex took me back and I was worse than I was the first time around. So she should have shut the door and moved on with her life and not let me come back. But soul ties, ignorance, immaturity, lack of self-love, lack of knowledge, all of those things. And my wife went back and was fooled. Okay. Her dude got her back and he wasn't ready to change. Again, we college students. So when me and my wife met back up, I'm like, so what's been going on? I said, you and such and such got back together? She said, yeah. But that been over for 4 months now. So it had been 6 months. So that let me know she went back and tried to do some, work it out for 2 months and then left him. See, that's just the kind of woman that I have. She don't play the radio. You hear me? She ain't bought the games. If you're not going to do right, she finna be gone. She did that throughout her little dating. And so when I came back, I'm like, okay, well, technically, I still was with my ex. Okay? And when I linked up with my wife, when my wife was willing to have a conversation with me, and then she was willing to jump back into it, I called my ex and said, hey, look, we done. I got to go. Now, here's the thing about this. And women come ask me all the time, well, Tony, did you ever go and apologize to your ex? My whole life is an apology. The way that I changed my life and the work that I'm doing. But no, I did not go apologize, because did your man come apologize to you? And again, that's a soul tie. So when you leave, you got to ask God for forgiveness and you move on about your life. And my apology ain't going to heal her, ain't going to fix her. And to be honest with you, when I stopped dealing with her and dealt with my wife, I had no way to reach her. Don't have a phone number, Facebook, Instagram, nothing. Didn't see her nowhere. And didn't live in the same state. So women always, and did you go back and apologize? You asking that for you. Because you want your man to come back and apologize to you. And that's the problem that we have with our life and why we can't move forward. We waiting on somebody to apologize. You got to fix yourself. You got to give yourself closure. I can't wait on the white man to apologize to me for slavery and give me a reparation before I go and tackle my dreams. I can't wait on the government. I can't wait on ex who hurt me. My ex who slept with five of my teammates. I can't wait on an apology to live my life. So listen, this a message for you. Stop waiting on closure. You got to close the door. You got to give yourself closure. You got to go to God. That's what God is for. You go to God in prayer. Stop waiting on man to come heal your heart, to come fix your heart. That's where your problem is. You waiting on an apology, and that's why you still stuck. Apologize to yourself. Apologize for putting up with it. Apologize for going through it and not getting a lesson from it. Apologize for that. Don't wait on somebody else to come apologize. So, and I asked my wife several times, I said, baby, and this how women are. A lot of y'all get y'all a man and y'all ain't worried about the last woman. Let me ask y'all this. For all the women who done asked me, well, honey, did you go back and apologize to your ex? Did you tell your boyfriend to go apologize to his ex? Oh, now you got crickets. You ain't encouraging your man to go backwards and apologize, are you? But you want me to go apologize. So I asked my wife throughout the years, and she was like, Tony, you was 19. That ain't even serious. Don't nobody even take that serious. Like, you was a child. Like, that woman don't even need your apology. Like, no, you shouldn't go apologize. That don't even make no sense. You was a child. And other than that, she was like, it's the past. Okay, so what? Get over it. That's just gonna reopen the wound. You just opening Pandora's box. So this came from a wife, because it was a lot of days when I would see them question, Tony, did you ever apologize? That I felt like, well, man, do I need to go apologize? But my wife was right. That would have brought the feelings back. It would have strengthened the soul tie. The soul tie that I worked so hard to minimize and diminish and get over, that I was curled up in the fetal position, crying with stomach aches from the pain of that soul tie, and just shedding them demons, them spirits from that toxic spiritual warfare that I was in for 2 years, trying to change a human being and warring in the flesh, trying to fight the spirit. Man, look here, I went through some pain. You hear me? Stomach felt like ulcers. Stomach felt like it was just bleeding internally. I'm curled up crying. And my wife saw that. When she was my girlfriend, she saw like, whoa, what? But for me, it was spirits. Because it was the adversary trying to hinder me, trying to derail me from what I'm doing today. Trying to make me lose myself and end up in prison or the grave, because I was in a situation that woman reinforced me being a grown boy. She enjoyed the fights and the arguing and the toxicity. She enjoyed having a dope boy for a boyfriend. But when I got with my wife, she was like, listen to me, brother, ain't gonna be none of that. Ain't gonna be no yelling, no cussing, no fussing, fighting, arguing, no drug dealing, no in the club, script club, none of that. Threesome, foursome, cheating, breaks, none of that. My wife cut out everything. She had her standard. This is what I need you to understand, okay? So stop looking at what other people doing, because see, it's a lot of the women that you looking at that you thinking is a ride or die. Oh, they turned out great. You don't know what they got going on. You don't know how many threesome, foursome going on. You don't know how much of it is about the money and the fame, or the financial security if they not famous, if they just everyday people in your neighborhood. You don't know what's going on. You don't know what he got on her. You don't know what he done put on her. What kind of spell, what kind of disease. You do not know. So you got to look at your situation. And if your situation is a mess, you need to leave. If your situation is not getting better, if your man does not want to grow, does not want to heal, does not want to learn, you need to leave. Stop worrying about what Tom, Dick, and Harry doing, Mary, and Martha doing, and worry about you. And understand this, you cannot fix a man. You cannot change a man. What you can do is be the best you that you can be. That's what you can do. And if he wants to change, if he wants to grow, your commitment to self-love and excellence in your life will inspire him and influence him to change. But he gonna have to do the work on his own. So this is what I need you to understand. Film on this now. Film on this. Stop trying to compare apples to oranges. Stop trying to compare notes when you ain't got their notebook. All you got is yours. And all you see from me and every other relationship is what you are shown. You don't know what went on. See, for me, I know it was divine because of the work that I'm doing. And this is a work that I'm trying still every day to fall in love with. But you may not be in love with your purpose. Jesus asked God, if it may pass this cup, let this cup pass me, Lord. Come on, Father. I got here and I'm liking living and laying hands and healing people. I ain't ready to go at 33, Lord. Father, can you do anything else? Can we come up with a plan B? You hear me? Jesus ain't love his purpose, but he had to do it. So me and my wife work for the kingdom. We work for the universe. We work for the world at large, because God saw, I did not know that, but God saw that my message would be reaching 20 million people a week. I didn't see that. 80 million a month. I didn't see that. Across social media, all social media, not just one network. That's what God saw. I didn't see that. So God had his hand in the mix. So you can't compare the natural to the supernatural. You can't compare what you're trying to force to what's divine. And what you have to do is you have to find your divine alignment, because there's someone that you are divinely aligned with, that as you are being sensitive and surrendering to the Spirit, he will be sensitive and surrender to the Spirit. And then the two of you can join forces and do work for the kingdom and make the world a better place, and reproduce life and start a family that pushes the world forward. And that those that you bring into the world with the man who you are divinely aligned with can grow up to have an impact on the world, touching millions. So see, that's what may be your purpose. And you cannot stay in a situation that is not progressing. See, it's not about perfection. It's about progression. And so if your situation is not progressing toward perfection and purpose, then you in the wrong situation. And you got to stop looking for excuses to stay. See, that's what that is. Y'all be looking for excuses to stay. Oh, well, you know what? One thing I don't understand is, like it's a lot of coaches like Tony Gaskin, and they hypocrites, because His wife was with him with all his dirty, nasty, stinking drawers, and then he want to get online talking about leave your man, leave your man, leave your man. And you compare notebooks and ain't got our notebook, and don't know what went on. Ain't even factoring God in it, and then you selling for an atheist. You selling for a man who cursing the name of God. You selling for a man that don't bit more know Jesus than the man on the moon. You hear me? And then want to compare that toxicity that you settling for to something that is divinely aligned. And in the midst of you sitting in your mess, you missing your divine alignment. What God trying to have you at. But because you want to sit there out of your flesh and out of your stubbornness, you suffering. Because you looking for an excuse to stay because it's too painful to start over. You looking for a reason to stay because of all of the unknown. Now let me tell you now, when my wife, we got back together and I married her 10 months later. See, God was kind of hovering on the outside, working on our hearts, and we were still living in sin. So it's like, oh, well, you telling us to be abstinent, but y'all were living in sin. And we paid a price for that. I honestly believe, I ain't gonna tell you no lie. I honestly believe that my first son, I believe in sins of a father. I believe that what a father does wrong, it could be passed down to his children. I believe it's my fault that my first son was conceived out of wedlock. He did not come into the world out of wedlock. I married my wife when she was maybe three months pregnant. I got engaged to her and then married her probably, I think she probably was 6 or 7 months pregnant. Somewhere around there. So we were still growing. That's why I teach abstinence. Because I felt the pain of it. Then our son was born 2.5 months early. At 2 pounds and 10 ounces. And spent 2 to 3 months in the NICU. Neonatal Intensive Care Unit. Oh yeah, the country boy can pronounce some words now. And my wife had to go up there every day. And they went to my wife and they handed her a pamphlet and say, look, this is the part of the brain that your son is missing. Read up on this because he's not going to be able to walk and function normally and play sports. So learn about this. Old nasty nurse practitioner or somebody, physician's assistant, came to hand that to my wife. And my wife told the lady, you could keep that. I don't need that. My son ain't missing that. Because my wife was a biomedical science major. So she knew a little something about the body. And she said she could tell my son was too active to be missing that part of his brain. And my son doing just fine. Star soccer player. Traveling the world playing soccer at 12 years old now. But guess what? His lungs didn't fully develop. So he had all kind of allergies. He allergic to peanuts. He allergic to eggs. He allergic to milk. He allergic to certain seafoods, fishes. He allergic to all kind of stuff. You hear me? And he pretty much just could eat meat and vegetables for the most part. And he got asthma and he got allergies and he got eczema. He had eczema so bad, it like his skin was coming off. And I feel like that was the price that my wife and I paid. I feel like that was the price we paid. He's so resilient that it's just normal life to him. When my wife would be in tears crying because of how his skin was looking, he would be fine and he would be rubbing her back. Mommy, don't worry about it. My friends at school are praying for me. It's okay, mommy. She would be in tears crying, looking at her son. I feel like that's the price we paid. You hear me? Because when you know better, you supposed to do better. And when you don't, it's a price to pay. And so our son, and just now he about to be 13. He coming through his situations now. He growing through it. It's getting better. If you see, when you see him today, you go on my wife's Instagram, my Instagram, you see him, you wouldn't know he was born 2 pounds, 10 ounces, 2.5 months early. You wouldn't know. You see his soccer highlights on my page down, you wouldn't know that the doctor told me he was going to be missing a part of his brain. But I saw that as the sins of a father. Because then my second son has nothing. He was born on time, no allergies, no asthma. He's completely 100% bill of health. Perfect bill of health. My second son. So I really felt like my first son, same two people made him. Same two people made him. But I believe in the spiritual. And I believe in sins of a father. I believe that you pay a price, and it may be paid through your children based on your decisions. And this is where, even beyond this, outside of the physical, but when you think about the spiritual, this is why we have generational curses that we've heard about, that you heard people talking about generational curses, because that's just the sins being passed down. You hear me? Let me hurry up. I ain't got much time. I'm supposed to be here 30 minutes. Now, so this is what I want you to understand. You can't fix a man. My wife ain't fixed me. She fixed her. And God fixed me. Through her influence. She influenced me to change by not putting up with nothing. And let me tell you this. We got married. We got back together. 10 months later, we was married. And the reason why I married my wife is because we was living in sin. And I knew God. And I didn't want to remain in sin. And she got pregnant. And when that happened, I looked at my wife and I said, you know what? This ain't no baby mama. This my wife. This a wife here. And although we doing things wrong, we know better. And we should be doing better. So I'm about to make this thing right. I'm about to rectify this situation, and we get married. And I got on one knee with a $69 ring from HSN. 3-carat cubic zirconia rose gold. Turn your finger green in a New York second. And I got on one knee on Christmas and proposed to my wife with that big fake ring. And she said, yeah, with that big fake ring. And we went to the courthouse. We got engaged on December 25th. On March 30th, 2007, we went to the courthouse. Me and her mama. And we got married. I had just turned 23 March 8th. And then we got married March 30th. And my wife was 20. Getting ready to turn 21 September 26th of 2007. So when we got married in March 30th, in June. So you got March 30th, then you got April 26th, our son was born. Then you got May. Then you got June. In June, our son was still in the intensive care unit. I went back to the streets to start hustling, serving, while working a 40-hour-a-week job. And I had wrote a book February 1st. Had published my book February 1st, 2007. This was a big year for me. Published my first book at 22. Turned 23 March 8th. Got married March 30th. Had our son April 26th. And then went back to the streets in June. I was in the streets. I ain't have a whole lot of work on this first order. Okay, so I'm out there and ripping, running the street, trying to get off this here. Came home one night. My wife told me when I got it, she said, look, you told me you weren't gonna do that, and I told you I wasn't gonna be here. I told you I'm not going to be with somebody. No, you cannot do that. You got to get rid of that. And I took my cousin advice, and he was like, cuz, when she say something, you tell her, you ain't gonna be saying that when I'm paying these bills. And so I tried to say that, you ain't gonna have that to say when I'm paying these bills. And my wife looked at me. And I came home one day, I was home, and she was gone. She wasn't there. She ain't had no work. And I'm sitting there and I'm losing my mind. I'm texting her, where you at? Because I had been riding around in her car. You know, because my car was an Impala with 22-inch rims on it. So I had her in my car, and I was in her little car, working, serving. And I'm like, where you at? You out all day in my car. What you doing? You out there? And she came home, and she wore contacts. She had her glasses on. Her nose was red. And she had a Bible in her hand. And her eyes was red. And I said, oh, Lord. I know what that prayer room bun looked like. That's a prayer room bun that you got in your house. I said this in my head. Lord, you got that prayer room bun, and you got your glasses on. So you done cried them contacts out. So I'm sitting there and I'm just still egotistical. Streets make you feel a certain way, give you a certain edge to your little ego, little attitude to you, because you out there with the sharks, so you can't be moving like a minnow. So you shift your mindset, because any day could be your last. Whether you got to take somebody or somebody gonna take you, or them boys in blue about to come get you. So when you in the streets, you playing for keeps. So my mindset was totally different. So I wasn't like, oh, how you doing, baby? What's going on? I'm like, where you been at in my car all day? And she just was cool, calm, and collected. And she came to me and she said, I'm leaving. You ain't leaving? And man, we got into it and things just went crazy. And I was trying to hold her, trying to intimidate her, trying to scare her, and she still left. So I said to myself then, I said, wow, this woman left me in Dayton, and now I'm thinking I got her up the creek without a paddle. And then she come surprise me that she could swim. I thought I had her up the creek without a paddle. I thought I had got her up the creek, broke her paddle over my leg, and now you stuck with me. Sink or swim. And she told me, she ain't say this, but she said, you can't drown me, because I taught myself how to swim. I made that up one day at a seminar I was talking, and that just came to me. I stuck with it ever since. But that's what she showed me. And my wife, she left. And this where the 72-hour rule come from. That's in our book, A Woman's Influence. Make sure you pre-order that book today. It's called A Woman's Influence. It come out in less than 2 months. A Woman's Influence. I need your support on this here book now. I need support. Especially all y'all saying, Tony, we want to support you. Hey, pre-order that book. That's the number one thing you could do for me. My wife, she left me that day, and she ain't answer me for the next 3 days. I blew her phone up. 80 or 100 phone calls or text messages, all of that. And finally, after them 3 days, she answered the phone. And because of all the remorse in my voice, all the promises I made, she answered the phone. She said, I'm going to give you one more chance. Now, this is what you have to understand now. Don't go comparing your apples to our oranges, okay? She gave me another chance because I was selling weed, okay? Not hitting on her, cursing her out, cheating on her, dogging her. I had nothing to do with her. It was my own life choices to sell a little bit of weed, whereas it was now about legal. And everybody was smoking, and I didn't even smoke it. So that's why. So don't go say, oh, well, since Mrs. Gaskin gave Tony another chance, I'm going to give my man a chance. And you sitting there and bruised and hurting and other women texting your phone, calling you. That is not the same thing. That is not the same thing, okay? And also, we were married. Now, you supposed to try to make marriage work. And when you try to make it work and it can't work, it won't work because he won't work, then that's when you leave. But for y'all trying to force a dating relationship to work, you in the wrong. You comparing apples to oranges. So this right here was marriage, a covenant before God. So you supposed to get this a second chance. And especially when you got to take a break within the first 3 months of marriage. That's what I need you to understand now. It wasn't like she hadn't gave me chances for 2, 3 years, 5 years, and I still was can't get right. No. This was, we got married the end of March 30th. This was June 14th. It was about June 13th or 14th that she left. So this was April, May. So it hadn't even been 3 months. It was 2.5 months and I was already trying her like a baser. And so, for those y'all don't know, a baser is a baser, which is a drug addict who free bases. Baser mean free base, okay? So when I say try her like a baser, I mean I'm basically trying her like a crackhead. And God bless everybody that's struggling with that. And so she take and she say, you trying me like a baser. I'm up out of here. And she gone ahead about her business. And I had to beg her back. So naturally a woman gonna give a man a second chance when you just got married 2.5 months ago. He did nothing to you. He really sinning against himself and jeopardizing his own freedom, which in turn would affect you. But it hadn't even got there because I was not Frank Lucas. You hear me? I wasn't Bumpy Johnson, Freeway Ricky Ross. Okay, so if I had got caught with everything that I had on me, the police probably would be like, man, go ahead, man. I got other stuff to do. You hear what I'm saying? So she took all that into consideration. And so she gave me a second chance. And guess what? In marriage. So when you go in marriage, you reset the clock. You reset the clock. This ain't about dating now. And all this time, she had never dealt with any cheating, any physical abuse, verbal abuse, none of that. So understand that. So she gave me a second chance. And then from there, that is when she never had to give me another chance. You hear me? From there, I was 23 years old. And I've been pristine ever since. I'm 35. I'll be 36 next month. March 8th. Is it February? Yeah. March 8th. Less than a month away. My cash app is money sign Tony Gaskins when March 8th hits. Send me $1. And so that's what I want you to understand today. My wife ain't fixed me. She stood her ground. And guess what? If I would have made her leave again on a third time, she'd have been gone. We wouldn't be having this conversation today. You hear me? Because I'd be in prison or the grave. But I saw her worth. And I listened to God on my heart. You hear me? And I made a change. So look at your situation and ask yourself, is this man trying to help himself? And have I given him a second chance in marriage? And what did he do with it? Have I given him a second chance in dating? And what did he do with it? And then judge it from there. And understand that the best thing you can do for a man is to love yourself. It ain't to love him, it's to love yourself, meaning have your morals and values and standards. That's the best thing you can do for a man, because that's what's going to push him to the next level if he wants to be in your life. And if he doesn't want to be in your life, guess what? He's going to sabotage the relationship by not being the man you need him to be. I'm about to beat the clock. I don't like going past an hour. God bless you. Tony Gaskins. We'll talk soon.